Right, Stevie, I'm disappointed, mate. Full-time whistle goes. We see Ange Postecoglou doing his usual lap of the pitch. He's got a jumper on. Suddenly he walks over to a section that I thought looked very close to yours and gives his jumper to a fan. I'm expecting you to turn up. Is it under there?
It's not here.
What happened?
Well,
Were you down the front? Well, Ange!
It's not the time for Christmas miracles. I can't confirm I am. Still a disappointment, Hamish.
You can make up for it though. You can make up for it, everyone.
Oh, this will be good.
You gonna wear it?
I suppose I have.
He's gonna do it, everyone. What a hero! The Christmas spirit is taking over it all.
Truly, truly one of the greats.
Legend.
Thank you.
Right. In fact, talking of uniforms, so to speak, Celtic are wearing their away kit. How did you find that today?
Don't know. Am I getting
booed?
booed?
It must be the referees.
That's Clydesdale House officials indeed. Well,
The kit.
You were talking about this during the week. I saw you mention it on a certain app. But I've got to say, it never registered into my mind about Celtic playing in the hoops, the away kit, the third kit. I think saw it before in 2012 when Sam and I scored against Hearts. We were wearing their third kit, I think we weren't they?
Yeah, it was white,
1-0
wasn't
win.
it?
I think as long as Celtic play in anything, we put in performances like that. Doesn't matter. I might be a bit too outlandish with my ideas there, Hamish, but nah, it never really registered. But I know you had the opposite view from me.
I mean, I thought it was strange. I always find things like this strange, and enjoyed it though. It was nice, and I mean, when you're putting in performances like that, I mean, are we going to wear that next home game?
I mean, highly doubtful, isn't it? But that's what I'm saying. Doesn't matter what they're wearing, as long as they put in performances like that, and it will take the mind away from it, because they were just outstanding from the first for the first minute to, I'd say, like the 70th or something, till it maybe took a wee bit of a nosedive. But they were I mean, the way they started that game, they were brilliant all over the park.
Even prior to the first minute, the team was announced. Several interesting inclusions in that team. Most interesting thing for me, and I think it was a deliberate ploy from Ange or someone else at Celtic, was for the first time in ages the team's announced in numerical order. So according to the way it was listed, Kyogo looked like he was playing centre back. I think that's deliberate from Ange, given that there was a bit of kind of uncertainty about who would play today, what positions, even at times what formation we would play. I think, we had some wild shouts from people, unsurprisingly. We had Forrest playing at full back. Some guy, Hamish, tweeted about McGregor playing at left back. Don't know who he was on about. Hatate was a big topic of conversation as well. Would he play left back? I think that's what most felt. Turns out he's playing right back. We had Moy playing kind of on a freer role on the left hand side. Forrest was in the team. It was interesting, wasn't it?
It was, yeah, but it just goes to show as well, doesn't it, that it's the way that this system's implemented now, and Ange has always said he's got complete and utter confidence in his players to carry that out, no matter where they're playing. You saw with Hatate, he was just like a natural there today, wasn't he? I think he was outstanding.
Well, he gets man of the match.
Yeah, what a strike for the first goal, and he took the second so well, but his overall game, the way he was linking defence and attack, was just excellent today. It was brilliant.
What does that say though about a player coming in to a position that some people, were kind of wondering what is Ange going to do at right back, and said player not only performs adequately but wins man of the match and scores 2 goals.
It says a lot about the player itself, about the quality that player possesses, and we know what Hatate can do for us. So important, but also it does say that the system that Ange has worked on for day one, where we shouldn't be in a position where if we are missing a key player, other players, he's always said he wants other players to come in and take their chance. And we saw that now. Like, I mean, can you imagine this time last year where we had that sloggy again against Motherwell? Rogic scored, and if we weren't playing, if we didn't have a guy like McGregor available for that game or something, didn't have one of our key players, we would have been really struggling. Whereas today, with a guy like Ralston out, who's a key player for us, certainly at this stage of the season, he's come out and some people understandably would have been concerned. Hatate just slots in, and it's a testament to him and the way that the manager set up this system that we just didn't look affected or phased without a guy like Ralston playing.
I agree with that totally. I think it's a huge testament to the player himself, and I know he's played there a little bit in his time in Japan, but it says a lot for him to come in and play so well, but it also says a lot, I think, about the system. And we've got a lot of good players, but I think the sum has always been greater than the parts for Celtic. I think it's a really good system that Ange has going. And another thing I think that's interesting, and I think a lot of us called this, after the game on Wednesday, Ange was obviously unhappy with a lack of players getting into the box. I thought it was so noticeable today that, especially in the early stages, first 20-25 minutes, players were doing everything they could to get into the box. I think the first example of that was O'Reilly should have scored. It's a sitter. he puts it wide. We had, I think, 2 goals in the first half that were like that as well. Numerous examples of players really trying to get into the box, and I just think that's a sign of good management from Ange as well. I think timing with Ange is interesting. He doesn't often, if ever, so far at Celtic, call the players out publicly, and I thought he used the word like, was it unacceptable, which I thought was like very interesting, and clearly today I think looking at it he would have thought that was much better.
I agree with that, Hamish, but it's also, again, fair play to the players for not hiding and cowering. I mean, they went out and he got a reaction out of them. It was
got a reaction out of you, got to give him that.
No, it was a real statement from the Celtic players and Ange, it really was, and it was evident that with the amount of chances that we created even before we scored, that it wasn't going to be anything like that Livingston game. And under the Livingston first half though, I felt we played pretty well. It was just the goal that sort of knocked the stuffing out us, wasn't it? But we didn't let St Johnstone have a sniff today. They had nothing. I mean, alright, this last 20 minutes we'll get into, I'm sure, but that first half, I mean, Joe Hart was just so unbothered. Celtic from the off were just relentless. The intensity levels were just very impressive.
It was really there today.
Oh, massively, yeah. And every single player all over the park. Like, you had Greg Taylor. I mean, he was up in the last third countless times. Aaron Moyes, you were saying them. See, before we scored, the amount of set pieces Aaron Moyes was taking, I think we had 4 corners in the
good
first.
Balls in as well.
4 in the first 10 minutes, and we didn't, they dominate from it. I think Kyogo did have one, but it was deemed not over the line.
Yeah, I thought that was Hatate, no?
I'm not sure.
Could be wrong, but to me that looked over the line, but hey ho, I'm sure those legends at Clydesdale House will have sorted that.
VAR know best,
we'll,
not us.
We'll come on to that in a wee second because I've got a fair bit to say about that today, but I just thought generally you couldn't, I don't think you could pick out a player in that first half really, because I think everyone was, my point is, I'm not saying there weren't players who were excellent, but I thought everyone really offered something. McGregor, Moy, O'Reilly was trying things today. I think it was vital with Hatate out of the midfield place. It was vital that we had players who were trying passes, and the amount of times that O'Reilly played balls in behind or even tried to do it, it didn't quite come off. I thought he was great today. McGregor was magic. Moy was great as well. Really good, Aaron Moy.
It was.
You want to single someone out for
no, I was
special
just saying
praise?
with Adam Moy just before it as well. There's a couple, I think he hauled back Ryan McGowan, booked, I think.
Yeah.
And then there was a couple of grumblings with a couple of clearances he made. And then all of a sudden, see that unselfishness and the awareness where he flagged it into Hatate.
Yeah.
Everybody around about me was just saying, Moy, just shoot. They were all screaming for it, and thankfully he didn't listen.
Yeah.
Laid it off at Hatate, and what a strike. But yeah, I wanted to single out Callum McGregor in that first half. He was just so energetic. He set the tempo, and it's just apparent how crucial he is to us. We played so well, but without him, obviously, and we got the results without him. But when he's in that team, seeing that first half, the way that he was linking up defence and attack and that midfield, it was just a real joy to watch him.
He's magic. He's absolutely magic.
Proper captain.
It's funny because I was chatting to my pal James, who I was at the game with, about Kyogo and this offside onside thing he does, and watch him, he's offside and then suddenly the ball's played to one of the wingers, and by the time the ball has been played in by the winger, he's suddenly standing onside behind the ball, and he's like 5 yards ahead of the last defender. And the minute I said it, he scores his third goal. I thought James Forrest was offside, and VAR looked at it for ages, but we'll obviously, as I say, we'll come to that in a second. But Kyogo today was great as well and gets 2 goals. I mean, people talk about Giakoumakis as being the poacher. Kyogo's majority of his goals this season have been like that, and he's the best. He's the best I've seen at Celtic at doing that. Being the last man and just sweeping it into the net.
Right at the near post as well. It's like the goal again we saw during the week against Livingston.
Very similar.
And to today, it's almost like Celtic have now got it drilled in, where the manager said just as long as we get to a position where we can drill it right at the near post. Kyogo's got his smartness and smartness in the movement to just get ahead of the defender, and if he gets a touch on it, the chances are it's going to go in the back of the net anyway.
I don't really want to talk about VAR for too long because it is a bit of a kind of running joke on this channel and we have a laugh. My gripe today is it's taken far too long, one, and it's having far too much of an impact on matches. How many times was VAR used today? 6, 7, 8 times properly? I know the ref didn't go over to the monitor, but he's standing, with his hand to his ear at least half a dozen times in that match today, and it's taken 45 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes every single time, and there is no reason for it to be doing it. Obviously, being at the game, we don't actually get to see what's happening with these calls, but from what I'm hearing from people, online and who are watching the game at home or whatever, there wasn't many difficult calls. The offside calls I think should be happening far quicker. I'll give you a good example. The third goal, Kyogo sweeps it in. Players are celebrating, 30 seconds celebrating, walking back, and still Clancy holds up the play, and it's not his fault, I must say. He holds up the play a minute and a half. It's like, why is it taking so long to rewind the clips in the VAR studio and see whether he's offside? That should be taking 45 seconds. Is it that, you know, they're having teething issues with this? Is the technology not right? Is the staffing not right? It's having too much of an impact on matches, both in terms of the time taken and the amount of times that they go to it. It's really frustrating because it just holds the game up. It doesn't happen at UEFA level. You don't wait that long, 6-7 times a game. What Champions League games are we at where it took, you know, 6, 7, 8 times a game and it's taken a minute at a time? It's so frustrating.
As we did express the concern about it, I know we had the big I1 of VAR part and the laugh about it, and it might get to that stage at some point, but right now it's still at a frustration level, isn't it? It just does seem to be sort of taking the joy out of Celtic. I mean, that goal with Hattie, there's the 4th goal today. Great football, Hatate's finish, lovely.
Apparently he's never offside, so why is it taking so long?
Again, I think to answer that, it's down to we said it after the Hearts game, the 4-3 game, we did say there's going to be much more of this. Remember that game at Tynecastle, we said don't be shocked if there's going to be like another 3-4 months for this, potentially longer, and it's just down to the staffing. I mean, we have always said for ages in this country, the Scottish football, the referees here, because, you know, they're not doing it full time and it's almost seen as a bit of a jolly for them. For what I'm hearing as well, for the VAR officials, it's exactly the same too. And if you've not got people in there adequately trained and taking that seriously as a full-time role, where you've got to, you know, keep the game flowing and take it very seriously, and it's not just a wee part-time gig for them, we're going to be seeing this problem time and time again, Hamish.
It's taking so long. I mean, and the whole thing about the VAR is, like, it seems the Scottish version seems so secretive, so discreet. You look at, like, the World Cup, for example, or the English games,
for example,
before the game they've got a camera, you know, in the VAR studio. Wee things like that. We have no idea what the inside of Clydesdale House looks like. We have no idea the setup and stuff like that. I find really frustrating. But we'll draw the line there because we're actually taking too long talking about it. We're 4-0 up today, and we put on Jota, Abada and Haksabanovic as a triple sub. It's almost unfair at that stage.
Aye, but then after that as well, I felt the subs kind of killed the momentum of the game.
Yeah.
Seemed as if I don't want to say we went flat, that's unfair, but I noticed as well, see when we did that, St Johnstone, who I thought were fairly open all game, then just their defensive structure, they just take two like banks defending behind the ball, and they just quite clearly didn't want to concede anything after the 4th, and after we made their subs, like you just watched them, they just, you know, two banks basically just not wanting to come out whatsoever. They got a goal for a long ball, but aye, in theory, when you make these subs, you know, you should be rubbing your hands going, we're going to look to get, 5, 6, 7 here. That could be me being greedy though. I know football doesn't work like that. But nah, I just felt it maybe slightly killed the momentum of the game, because, I mean, essentially it was also 1, wasn't it, in the first 45?
Yeah, I think there's an element in that, and the players are only human. They must be looking at Easter Road and Ibrox to come and thinking, you know, do I need to go all out here, risk an injury, etc. I agree. I mean, I think Ange would want more of a 90 minutes performance, and I do agree that it finished. We did create chances though late on. I mean, Abada balloons one over. Giakoumakis, who I think, you know, doesn't look 100%, you know, kind of match fit and as sharp as he did at the start of the season.
Well, certainly had that great run in October where he was scoring, I think he scored 4 goals, including one in the Champions League too. But it's now at 13 and 16 for Kyogo, and I know right now, this is again me talking about online, I'm seeing this reaction for GG not starting and everybody maybe having a dismissive attitude towards Kyogo, but see at the games you don't hear any of that. All the fans are pretty much all fully behind the team that starts, and I mean, GG is good as I mean, I rate him a lot, I really like the guy, but Kyogo's got 13 goals in 16 games now. I'm just not going to drop a guy like that.
I just think you'd be looking for slightly more for Giakoumakis right now when he's, and I love him, but it's not the Giakoumakis that we saw earlier in the season when he was coming on for 10 minutes and looked bursting at the seams. But I don't know. Greg Taylor, I want to single out Greg Taylor. You think you already did it, but you know, maybe people will maybe look at, you know, Hatate, Kyogo today for their goals, but Greg Taylor is the epitome of we never stop. His work rate today, his quality on the ball, he's so good at sweeping passes down the wing, and I actually think he's gone on to an even higher level over the last couple of months. I think every single game now he's one of Celtic's most reliable, most impressive players. I just thought he was magic. You know, you go into the closing stages today and Greg Taylor is still the one who's forcing the issue, taking corners quickly, overlapping, underlapping. I love watching him right now. He's a joy to watch.
And the manager also trusts him 100% now. He's became one of the manager's guys. it speaks volumes of Taylor after he came in when we saw that game at Tannadice last December too. You're thinking, is he just going to be a stopgap? Are we going to upgrade on him? He's taking his own performances to a new level, and when you've got a guy like Ange Postecoglou fully believing and trusting in you, then he's a mainstay in the team now, and good on him. But you're singling out Taylor. I just want to say, Daizen Maeda, who I have obviously criticised in the recent months, I thought he was magic today.
He looks good in that away kit. I think it's the ball team.
He just worked so hard today, Hamish, and he created so many openings tirelessly down that left hand side. Brilliant performance for him, and it's really good to see him playing well again.
You would have had a better view of the David Turnbull incident than me.
Yeah. Look, when that ball came in and Turnbull put his feet up at a level, me and several others in a row did go, oof.
Should have headed it, shouldn't he?
Aye, but when you make that, so we're already going, oof, that looked like a bad one. But then the referee's not blew anything. The play's continued. Then, of course, the goalie gets treatment. I think it was a high foot, and I thought it was personally dangerous play. But the big thing is, why is the ref not, called that right away? And then why is it taking so long to make that decision for the red card after the goalie's had the treatment? It could have been done way before then. It just, adds a real malaise to the game when otherwise there was none of that creeping into the play whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, it's disappointing for him as well. It's not a malicious challenge, but I think if you're endangering an opponent, you're always risking the red card, and it's disappointing for him because he's come on with a point to prove and it's not gone well. It's disappointing for the team as well because they're going to miss him now for Easter Road. I think it's just one game, but we'll maybe find someone can clear that up. Hopefully it's just one game, but it lessens our options for Easter Road. How are you feeling about that game now? Because we know that Easter Road is famously a ground that can be quite difficult for Celtic. It seems like virtually every season we'll drop points there. We obviously can't afford to. We're 9 points clear, but you really want to go into that game at Ibrox 9 points clear. I think it's imperative, Wednesday night we get those 3 points.
Yeah, undoubtedly, Hamish. Of course, I've never taken the huff after results at Easter Road whatsoever. Have I?
You're down for Wednesday, by the way, everyone. So
Am I really?
Well,
now. Here we are. No, I'm very confident for it. I think we're playing good football right now. Had we get into the game against Easter Road in the back of like a slugfest today, like the Livingston game, I wouldn't have said there would have been like alarm bells ringing, but I would have been a wee bit concerned about it because naturally for the last since they've come back up, it's never an easy place to go. But after that performance today, I think the players will be really confident for it. I certainly am. I don't still think it's going to be an easy match at all.
Yeah,
and Hibs will be right up for it too. But I think we'll have enough. We should have enough to beat them. But no, we're going to have to be at it fully for the 90 in that game.
I think the positive thing is both for Easter Road and Ibrox, the opposition are going to have a go at us, so we're going to have more space to run into. I think someone like Maeda could be a really important player for both games. I just think it's a huge week. It's a monumental week. Nothing's going to be handed out at the end of the week, but I think we can really put ourselves in a magic position. We're already in an incredibly good position, but I think if you come away from Ibrox, and I know a lot of people looking at Rangers, and I think really opportunities for us in that game. Personally, if you offered me coming away from the next week 9 clear, I'll take that. I think it'd be really put us in a good position for the second half of the season. I think it would take us up to 20 games as well, so you're almost kind of reaching the kind of the home run. Still a wee bit of the way to go. We're now on over 50 points, 51 points. We've not even played half a season. I mean, it's incredible Celtic form that we're seeing this season, and also a full year. I think here domestically without a loss, unless there's one I'm not remembering, which is amazing.
It's been superb. And also shout out to the goal difference. I think we're now 21 clearing goals. Is that right?
Find out for you if you want to keep talking.
I really don't know what else to. I'm rotting at filling in this. This is where
right,
you
so we are luckily the legends at FOTMob are quick. Celtic plus 42, Rangers plus 23, so 19 in it, and obviously
nearly
9 points. It's as good as a point. Some people
it's very
would
healthy
say.
because it means if we keep it to this type of thing, and obviously if we don't have the points total, we'd have got that to fall back on, of course. And last season it was really important for us.
Yeah.
Of course, I wasn't stressing out whatsoever last season when we were like 8 and 9 goals clear, still thinking there's a chance they could catch us, but I think that's a good position to be in. It's very healthy for us.
Yeah. Conclusion for today, I thought Celtic were magic. I think we kind of all wanted, final game of the year at Celtic Park. We all wanted to see a bit of performance today, a few goals, because last couple of games have been quite sticky. Even prior to the break, that was the same case. I thought today, the team really showed up. I think the attitude, the tempo we played at, the quality we showed in the first half, really looked like the team were enjoying their football, and I think that's exactly what we needed going into Easter Road and Ibrox. And we're in a wonderful position. If the week goes horrendously and we lose both matches, we're still going to be at least 3 points clear at the top of the league. So it's good to be a Celtic fan. It's been a cracking year to be a Celtic fan as well here.
It's been brilliant. It's been crap on the channel having to do this with Hamish. But other than that, being at the games and seeing this Celtic team under a manager that I can relate to, and I think every Celtic fan can relate to, has been fantastic. So but amazingly, no complaints.
Amazingly. Wow, it's a Christmas miracle, everyone, and you've got a busy evening ahead of you, of course.
I do, but let's not tell people what I'm up to. Please keep my personal life out of it.
They know what you're up to, though.
What's that?
Going around the planet delivering delivering gifts to kids and adults as well.
Well, I don't know, I think it's a wee bit of a harsh comparison with Santa.
Guys had a good day.
Fair play to him. No, I think Santa, I've got a few bare pounds on Santa, Hamish, so it's a wee bit of a shady comparison.
So yes, a busy night for Stevie. Hopefully you all have a wonderful time as well tomorrow. We are going to be off tomorrow. I've been given a day off for Christmas. Wonderful
Disgrace.
Lads.
Would never be me.
Boxing Day as well. We'll be back on the 27th, looking ahead to Hibs. We've got Ibrox to come as well. Lots to get excited about, Stevie. But genuinely, from everyone at 67 Hail Hail, hope you have a wonderful and peaceful Christmas, and we'll chat to you on the 27th. Hail Hail.